Let's go to Alex Hogan, who is live in Washington with the very latest on negotiations with Iran as that ceasefire is set to expire imminently. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Carly and Todd. So diplomatic efforts are underway, but they're in doubt as to whether these peace talks will even take place today. So Iranian state media this morning saying that no delegation from Iran has visited Pakistan, and it comes after what we've seen in the last several days, Iran saying that they might not even show up. Still, right now, preparations are underway for these high-stakes new rounds of talks, which are set to take place. Security is tightening in Islamabad ahead of the arrival of all of these different delegates, and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is set to lead the American delegation. Last time, Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Baghdad Khalibaf led the Iranian side, but now he's posted this on X, writing, Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table into his own imagination, into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats, and in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. It has been a standstill in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces continue to monitor their blockade in the critical waterway. U.S. Central Command releasing these new photos. And President Donald Trump, in a Bloomberg interview, underscored this looming expiration date of the current ceasefire, timestamping it as Wednesday evening Eastern time. So that could give a little more time for negotiations. The president also called it highly unlikely that he would extend the temporary deal if a new agreement is not reached. So even if there is a new ceasefire that is reached this week, Carly and Todd, that raises more questions. How would it be enforced? And again, would it hold? Carly, Todd.
A whole lot of questions on the table this morning. Alex Hogan live for us in Washington. Alex, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's bring in retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille to answer some of those. Mike, great to see you this morning. It is shaping up to be a critical day as the ceasefire is set to expire. Both sides are threatening further military action. And then you have the vice president heading to Pakistan for another round of negotiations. Where do you view where all of this is going at the end of the day today?
Several options, but the eyes of the world will be on Islamabad today. So, I think there's a high probability that nothing's going to come out of these peace talks. One, Trump and J.D. Vance should be going in with full compliance of our terms is the overall goal. But there's a few things. One, Iran is saying they won't negotiate under coercion, which, Carly, that's the sound of levers working. They say they've got a new set of cards that they're going to unleash. They're probably, referring to a strongly worded essay to the UN, which we highly encourage. But what's extremely troubling is the ascension of Ahmed Vahidi, a former fanatical hardliner. I mean, this is the guy who orchestrated and led the Quds Force prior to Soleimani. And that's disturbing because he was the architect of Iran's global terror operations, has the blood of Americans on his hands with several bombings. And that is a sign that the hardliners are consolidating power over the diplomats within Iran and not great stepping into these negotiations because they will choose force over any deal.
Yeah, he is considered radical even within the regime's hardline elite and could move Iran towards peace or further military action. And when it comes to that, Iran feels like they have leverage regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. And you got to understand, for a fanatical of this type, peace is not within their vernacular. So it is terror. He is the architect of death to America and death to Israel. But it does show that he is gaining more influence potentially than Gallup and Khomeini as well. So under his control, I don't think they're going in with any good faith, as Iran usually does not, to come to a reasonable deal. And listening to the rhetoric of this hardline faction that they believe enrichment is a regime right, that shows that they're not willing to meet the zero enrichment. And I'll say this, be skeptical when you hear words like temporary or moderated. Those lead to phased operations of diminishing their uranium enrichment. But we know that Iran has a history of reading any agreement like it's optional fine print. and they've never negotiated or held true on any deal or agreement in good faith.
Yeah, and the other major element of this is the already enriched uranium that Iran has. And last week, President Trump said that they would hand it over, and then Iran said, no, we will not. Here is General David Petraeus on what it would look like to retrieve that enriched uranium ourselves.
We're not really sure where these canisters are of this 1,000 pounds of 60% enriched uranium, which rightly was noted is one turn of the enrichment process below that of weapons grade. But they're going to have to excavate very, very substantially. And by the way, that's what makes the idea of a forced ground operation very, very challenging. This would be a very, very tall order. It would be exceedingly risky, and the casualties could potentially be quite substantial.
What do you think about that as a realistic possibility?
I think it may be one of the only options. Can we trust Iran to turn over the uranium? No. Can we take them at their word that they'll dispose of it? No. So, are combat operations risky? Yes, they're inherently risky. However, with our military force and our capability, they are possible. What makes this complicated is it becomes a combat operation while doing excavation or construction in a sense. And that requires a defensive perimeter. I'm never fearful or overly fearful of our troops going in. It's always when you take a defensive posture, and any military professional will tell you that you expose your people to risk. It's hard to hold static ground, but it is possible, and most likely the only viable way to ensure that we get our hands on the uranium. We account for it, and then we ultimately dispose of it or take custody of it.
Yeah, and taking in all that you said collectively, with Ahmad Vahini being the head of the IRGC now and being an extreme hardliner, the Iran having some sway over what we do when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz and not willing to give up their nuclear ambitions. I mean, where do you think things are going from here when these negotiations, with this attempt at diplomacy, is over?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you where they should not go. And this is the Iran playbook, is they're trying to reset the clock. More time, more time, more time. And President Trump knows that, and he's not willing to give it. So if these negotiations don't come to some reasonable, verifiable, durable terms, then I believe we will see strikes again on Wednesday night. The blockade will continue because that is crushing them financially. And we had reporting that Peshkin is at a near breakdown because he understands what every business leader understands. You can't run a company or you can't run a regime without oxygen, and cash is your oxygen. But when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, we saw an Iranian 10-point plan. They still want control of the Strait of Hormuz. That shows their lack of reality in this situation, that they have no leverage, and that is totally unacceptable by both President Trump and the international community.
Diplomacy today, and then we'll see where it all goes from here. Retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.